I would not regress a child. Ever. I'm going to talk about this on a couple different ways or in a couple different angles, and it's going super out there. Welcome back to Spiritual Conundrums. Actually, I do think I'm going to change the name of it, by the way. We did get a vote last time to change the name to What in the Woo Woo, and I'm pretty excited about that. I would love to know your thoughts, though, on that before I actually change it. But yeah, What in the Woo Woo might be our going forward name. We will see. Let me know in the comments. But hello, I am so glad you're here. A couple quick notes before we dive into this week's stories. Number one, road construction happening outside my window. So if it's loud, yep. Yep, it is. That is disclaimer number one. Disclaimer number two is I leave at the time of this recording for Japan in like 4 days. And that means that I've been doing 10,000 things a day for like 4 days to try to be ready for that. And I am reaching sensory overload rapidly. And in reaching sensory overload rapidly, I am going to do my best in this video. But if I look a little twitchy or I get a little, that's why. Okay? Also, if you're new here, welcome. So happy you're here. I really appreciate you. You are welcome to this channel. The series where I essentially channel in on the weirdest, wackiest, and what in the woo-woo style situations that I find on Reddit. Spiritual Reddit, I look at psychic Reddit, I look at Am I the Asshole Reddit, I look at pagan Reddit, all different places all over Reddit to see what situations I can find and then channel in with my guides or at least give advice on from my like 15 years of experience in this field about what might be happening for that person and therefore you, if you're experiencing that too. Cool. Want to jump in? Let's jump in. Starting off strong. This comes from our psychic and the title is Channeling to the Books. I don't know if anyone has any idea what this is, but this weird thing started happening to me for a while now. Let's say I'm going along with my normal life, and then all of a sudden, a rush of ideas, stories, and pictures come to my mind, or I come across a book series about exactly what I thought of. I mostly like to read fantasy, romance, and all these things are in the same genre. Tonight I even saw a scene in my dream from a book series that I haven't ever even read, and then all of a sudden I know its name. The annoying thing is I'm getting spoilers without reading the books or even knowing their names. I'm sorry, that sounds really funny and stupid. It doesn't. That's a totally valid concern, OP. I'm also meeting with book characters in my dreams. If anyone has any ideas, please share with me. Okay. If you've followed me for a long time, you know that I speak quite often about how deeply true it is that everything exists in energetic reality. That especially includes book characters. I'm going to talk about this on a couple different ways or in a couple different angles, and it's going super out there pretty quick. So just like strap on your brace for yourself. First of all, I deeply think that this person is absolutely not just channeling in books that are already in existence, but tapping into characters and worlds that have become channeled into books that are existent. That are in existence. Like I said, I'm a little bit overwhelmed. We're getting there. So I really think that what this person is doing is channeling in and tapping into these books and these worlds that do exist out there in energetic reality, but already have a bridge to Earth via a book. So basically when an author gets an idea for a story, those things that exist do exist somewhere out there in the universe. No truck. Without going too deeply into it and going like incredibly existential about it, which you can check out my How the Universe Works video, which is a part 1. That I do have up on here if you want to know more about this. But basically, everything that we can dream up and connect to in this reality does actually have connections out there in the universe to things that are real. If we connect to it in this reality, it is something that can exist or that does exist in the universe. The things that we cannot think of in this reality or cannot connect with are things that we don't really have a lot of access to in this reality. We can get there, but that gets into a whole other complicated thing. So a lot of times when people channel in stories, we feel like the characters are real because they are real. They are whole and complete people that happen to tap this particular author, or maybe they had an agreement with the author before the author came on planet of, hey, we're going to do this then. They have like a soul contract there. Whatever it is, whether that is dragons or whether that is My Little Pony or whether that is the series that shall not be named but has a wizard boy at school, you name it, those characters do exist in energetic reality. So I think is happening with OP is that's what they're tapping into. I do think it's really funny. Oh, my hair. And kind of sad that they're getting like spoilers from it, but also like what a cool like affirmation of your intuition to be like, wow, this is the point where I'm actually getting spoilers from it. Like it's a bummer because obviously OP wants to read those books, but still like that's kind of neat. Like that's kind of validating. I would start to, if someone came to me and asked this question, I would say to start putting in shields, to have like an on or off, like, hey, nope, I do not receive this at this time. Or ask your guides, be like, hey, I don't want to get spoilers. Like, give me connection to these characters, sure, but I don't want to get the spoilers. I want to just like know things about them, and then I will go and find the next book that I need to read based off of that. It's also a really wonderful way to like get advice. You can channel in these characters because they exist. They are beings that exist out there. You can absolutely channel in to those characters and ask them questions that you may want to like their advice on or want to know the answer about. Absolutely, that is definitely something you can do, and I do recommend trying that out if there is one particular character you really want to connect with. I have done this many times. I am a super book nerd, and I'm an author. I've actually been channeling my own characters in for my own book for the last like 4 years that I've been writing. It's called Locusta. Locusta was a woman poisoner who lived in ancient Rome, and I've been giving her story back and writing it down in a historical fiction, but it's historical fantasy because it talks about the deities that she channeled and worked with in the book. It's currently out with agents, so cross your fingers that I get signed to that and you guys can read it very soon. So I'm very familiar with this. I also ran a program for years called the Forgotten Storytellers, where we help people do this to write their own books. I do have a publishing company with Krista Lynn, who also ran the Forgotten Storytellers with me. So this is something that I'm like well versed in. And it's really cool to see other people talking about it or asking about it online, because typically when I bring it up, people are like, wow, that's a thing. And I love that for you. If you're feeling that surprised and you're shocked, you're like, wow, that's a thing. Yeah, it is, and I love getting to break that news. But it's really cool also for me to like see this post and be like, oh my gosh, like people are also feeling this out and actually tapping into this. The other kind of layer of this is a really good start to shifting. Like if you've ever heard of shifting, where you actually get to like shift your consciousness to a different life that you're having essentially and experience some of that life and then shift back, that's what shifting is. Shifting feels this real, as it looks like it feels like this person's starting to really tap into what I would consider kind of shifting zone, and could probably access that as well through the amount of the characters reaching out to them. I would also say for this person, and I don't know how old this person is or what's coming up to, but if those characters are coming in their dreams, etc., I would probably like start writing down all the things they're telling me and see if I could quote them in the book. Like I would really dive in and explore the differences that would come up between the characters, or like my understanding of the characters. Like I would really get into that if it were me that was having this like experience very uniquely. But yeah, if you've ever experienced this, please let me know in the comments. I would love to know, because you definitely can channel in characters. Or if you want to just tell me what character you're going to channel in, I'd like to hear that too, because that's always fun for me. Okay, let's see what some of the comments say. It was posted 3 months ago, so it's a little bit old. There's not a lot of comments, so let's see what we got here. First comment, top comment. Yes, they want you to read or experience the book because it has themes or lessons you need to learn. Oh, that's also a possibility. I really appreciate that this person put that out there, that perhaps OP's guides, I didn't even get a chance to read the full comment, I will in a second, but perhaps OP's guides are trying to be like, hey, you need a lesson. I know how I can get you to learn that lesson. Look at the characters from this book. That'll drive you to the book, and that book is going to help teach you the lesson that you actually need to learn. That is a really good point, and definitely something that could be happening too. Like, absolutely. That's actually a really good way of guide communication. Like, that's pretty strategic and genius if that's what their guides are doing. Like, that's fantastic. And this is way easier than forcing you to experience the lesson in real life. Totes. I went through a month where my guides gave me very specific movies to watch, including Moana. Aw, that's sweet. What an easier way to learn, especially for me, who is a person who learns best by doing to experience things or something. It actually taught me a whole lot about my clairsentient abilities and how I learn things. I feel like they know me better than I do sometimes, and they're trying to teach me how to learn better. OP responds, this is very interesting because I'm a really curious person, especially when it comes to spiritual topics. So I always do more research when I'm ready to learn something. Thank you very much for sharing your opinion. I really like that idea that that's how the guides are communicating. If you want your guides to communicate with you this way, like actually sending you like, hey, watch this, take this lesson and whatever, please ask them for that, because they definitely can. Not all guides will, but like they definitely have that capability. The other thing I'll say is watching movies, reading books, listening to audiobooks, anything like that is a form of meditation. So you're not only getting the messages and the lessons, but you're also getting the activation that comes in a meditative space while witnessing that. Unfortunately, also the crappy books do exist, and I do have like so many books in the back burner that I'm going to do a rant review series for on here, I think, because there are crappy ones. They do exist. If you want to know some of the best ones for activating your psychic abilities, I got a video on that too. It's going to be there. Check out the rest of the channel. Quick little advertisement. Please like, subscribe, hit the little followy dingy button thing, all the things, comment. Thank you so much. You're appreciated. I really am trying to grow this series because it's so much fun for me. So if you like it, please follow along. Okay, cool. Next comment. It's a sign that something is trying to give you insight or a heads up. Oh, okay. That comment didn't make any sense. It's a sign that something is trying to give you an insight or a heads up, similar to checking the waypoint in a game. Potentially, I don't think so, not as much. But that is also another kind of way of thinking about it, I guess, of trying to give you like a warning of things happening that are like similar things happening in the book, I guess is what that commenter is trying to say, which I guess, but I don't think that would be the most likely given the situation. Cool. That is our first story. Moving right along to our next one. Oh, this is one of those things that is slightly common, and people have kind of all heard one of these types of stories, but I'm excited to kind of talk to it because it's a really specific one. This one comes also from our psychic. It was posted 11 days ago, and the title is My Son's Past Life. So a few months ago, my son started talking about having another dad. His dad lived on an island, and his job was to print money. He doesn't remember his name. He says that he had a pet alligator, though. My son said when he got old enough, he printed money too, and that he had another name, not one that he has now, which was Robert, but he went by Bob. He has only mentioned his other mom a few times. He said that she was mean and that she had a pet lizard. He said his father started a fire and that claimed his life. I showed him a picture of the Cayman Islands because I'm starting to research into this. He said, that's the island. The Cayman Islands are known for money laundering, which of course he had no way of knowing. We have never spoken to each other about lives with him. I never asked him any suggesting questions. He talks about it all on his own. Any additional research or readings would be extremely helpful. Advice is welcomed as well. Okay. Obviously, we have heard of these things where kids remember their past lives more in-depthly than adults do, or you've heard of kids being like, oh, that's where I died. Kids will definitely bring that up more often than adults will, and that is because they are more open. We don't have as much stuff clogging up our magical river. So the way I like give this analogy to kind of help you understand like the why the kids remember past lives more thing is essentially, there is a river that flows within us. It is beautiful, it is wonderful, it is lovely. We are born with this river. Some people's rivers are open and raging, some people's rivers are more of a trickle, but they're always there. And that is your source of magic, your magical river. Unfortunately, from the moment we come on planet, we do everything we can to dam up, block, and pollute this river. So we'll chuck in a bunch of beavers when we have a traumatic experience. We gain a fear, throw a bunch of plastic bags on in there. You have, someone says something to you that all of a sudden develops into a limiting belief. We're going to just pollute it full of a ton of gross mud. Like you just add all this gunk to your river. So it's harder to access than when you were a little kid. So oftentimes little kids, before they really remember a lot, start to talk about their past lives because that is the memories they have before other ones can kind of take their place and pollute the river. I deeply believe her son is connecting with his past life. Absolutely. It's Mommy Crosby. That's where I got it. Okay, I was like, did I misgender? No, Mommy. So I really think her son is definitely having this connection to the past life, absolutely sharing it, especially the level of detail that is being shared, for sure. The thing with this is like doing research into it is great. Figuring out exactly who he was isn't always super beneficial. So it's one of those things where I would recommend like write down, if your kid does this or you've heard of this, like write down as much as they say, like as much as you can get them to talk about, and keep record of that because it might have like themes that are similar to them later in life. Not saying that he's going to launder money later in life at all, but it might have, maybe there's a fear of fire because house fire situation that claimed his life. Maybe there is weird detached mommy issues because mommy in a previous life wasn't super great. Now you have something to go off of that you can kind of dive in and look and seek for like other alternative healing methods for, because you know what was said about previous lifetime, which is one of the layers we hold limiting beliefs on and we hold trauma on. We hold trauma energetically, like on a very spiritual level. We hold limiting beliefs, blocks, things like that on 3 different levels. One is the ancestral level. That is the stuff that you inherit and it literally lives in your body, in your DNA, in that type of your energy. We have those limiting beliefs. Then our personal limiting beliefs, the stuff that we gain in this current lifetime, those little things that we use to pollute our river in this current lifetime. And then the third one is past life, and that comes with us on a soul level from 1 or more lives ago, where we bring in stuff that didn't get resolved. It's not quite like karma. Karma, that's the modern new agey belief in karma is not in any way how I feel karma actually enacts. So it's not necessarily karma, but it's more like, let's say in a past life, such as our little poster here, you did have a house fire and you passed away, or maybe your loved ones passed away and then you got sick after that and couldn't do anything to rebuild the house or bury them properly or whatever it was before you passed on as well. Now you have this like open loop of unresolved stuff because you didn't get to actually like handle it in lifetime. And we do our best to handle some of this stuff after we pass, which I do have a whole video of what happens after that too. I guess I'm just plugging all my videos today. That's not typical for me, but there's a lot that are applying to these stories. So shameless plug. Anyway, so we do a lot to kind of cope with that after we pass, but that doesn't mean it always works. Some things have to be worked out on this layer of the universe cake, on this earthly plane. So we carry them to the next life to hopefully work them out or get over them, or heal them out or whatever it is. So oftentimes that's why there's a memory that we bring in as a little kid that is so visceral, because that's going to be one of the main lives that we're working through in this lifetime. The leftover, experiences or trauma from that, or even gifts from that would be stuff that you'd be using in this lifetime. Really into my hands today too. I think it's because I'm just like working out all this pent energy, trying to get it out of my space because I'm so much going on. But yeah, I think this is really interesting as far as a past life for a kid to remember, because it's really, really specific. And I always love those because I'm like, heck yes, like hopefully the parents were chosen appropriately as someone who are going to care about this. Obviously this mom does, to the point where they're posting it, which I think is pretty fantastic. All right, let's see what some other points are. It's fascinating that your son has such vivid and specific memories of a past life. Children are often more open and receptive to past life memories as they are less conditioned by societal expectations. Basically, yeah. His detailed descriptions and consistent storytelling suggest a genuine recollection rather than mere imagination. Yeah, it does. To explore this further, you can continue listening and documenting everything he shares. Sometimes more details emerge over time. Look into regression therapy or consulting with a past life regression specialist who has experience with children. I would not regress a child. Ever. I'll touch on that in a second. They can guide you in understanding and navigating these memories. Research into the history of Cayman Highlands, focusing on the time periods and occupations he describes. See if there's any historical records or accounts that match his descriptions. Consider visiting the islands if feasible. Being in a familiar environment might trigger more memories and provide additional context. Encourage him to draw pictures and stories about his memories. This can bring more clarity. Why do you want to know that much? Like, I'm not being insulting. I'm truly just want to like, why would you want to know that much about what is apparently a pretty traumatic life for your child? That's a little aggressive. I don't like that at all. Like, I really, really don't like that at all. I don't think past life regression on children is helpful and beneficial, except for a few, maybe a couple more extreme circumstances it would be, but for the most part, I would not. I would not past life regress a child. That is something a consenting adult can do for themselves when they are in a healthy emotional space, to not have that entire thing throw them for like a permanent loop by creating new cycles of not so great things in this lifetime. So I definitely would not know that. I also think that like children are not here to like satiate their parents' curiosity about their life. Like, you as a parent get to support them through their journey. You as a parent can be the person, like if the kid wants to process through it and wants to talk about it and wants to draw pictures about it, totally fantastic. But like going this far to suggest a trip to the Cayman Islands to see if the kid will have more memories is way overboard, in my opinion, and can be really reckless spiritually. Like, don't do that. Some of this stuff is supposed to stay buried, and the memories that do exist are enough to help this child navigate what they're going through. That's a lot. And unfortunately, OP comments, thank you, with a smiley face. And I really know they have the best intentions, but like, oh, that is not, that's not it. I do think that it is good to document it, and someone even suggests like take a video of his answers because eventually he'll forget. Yeah, he will take a video of him doing that. So if he wants to dive into it later, he can, as an adult who gets that choice. Because we stand consent here. Listening, giving him space to remember is great. Helping him process through that is great. But just like, whew. Yeah. Okay, one comment that I think is funny. It says, I'd like to add that we view past lives in order to get information about our present life. It's possible he's going through something similar. And then someone replies, yeah, I'm sure this woman's toddler is running a money laundering business on the side. Totes. I love it. All right. Obviously, you got to see me really passionate about consent in that one because I am. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I love doing this series. It is so much fun for me to do. You guys are awesome. I would love to hear if you've had weird experiences like this. In the comments, let me know. Or if you find something on Reddit and you want me to do this, again, post it in the comments with like a little link to it and I will check it out and see if it's aligned. Thank you guys for being here. Again, like, subscribe, all those things. I will see you on the next video, and don't forget, you are magical as fuck. Bye-bye.